is that this meeting is being recorded for posterity's sake. It will go up on our YouTube channel. I'll share it with the association, just for those who weren't able to make it, who are maybe working a game. And again, for those of us who either were hustling back from a game or didn't have a game today, given your night off, logging on today, I really, really appreciate it. And if I get a little distracted here, it's because I'm admitting people who are still coming into the chat. So I'm going to, at this time, I'm going to share my screen. There it is. All right. So if you go to here, ahaslides.com, and I'll type in and I'll show you what that looks like to you, ahaslides.com there at the top. You're going to see this at the top, ahaslides.com. If you enter, and I'll go back to my screen, if you enter BB for basketball, test 22, it'll bring you to this presentation. So just a quick second. Let me admit some more people here who are logging on. All right. So again, ahaslides.com, it brings this screen up. Type in here, BB test 22. And after you do that, there will be a next step once I actually start the presentation officially. I see 6 people logged on. The more people that log on, we got 7. The more people that log on, believe me, the more fun that it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to have about 15 questions logged up onto the screen. And what will happen is you'll get about 25, 30 seconds to answer the questions. And the quicker you answer the questions, you get more points if your answer is correct. So the first step is to make sure you get the correct answer, or else you get no points if it's wrong. And we will go through all of the answers if you guys have any questions or anything about any of them. But for the purposes of taking the test, this is what we will be doing. Okay, so I'm going to real quick here. There's the controls. Where are my participants? All right. Okay. Dave Drake. Dave, are you there?
He's here.
Dave Drake is in the house. The indomitable Dave Drake. He is going to be my color commentator, so to speak. My my Ed McMahon to my Johnny Carson.
Hey-o.
Hey-o. And so he's going to be our kind of rules interpreter for the exam tonight as we kind of go through the quizzes. So again, if everybody who is so inclined, and again, we'd love it, the more people that do it, the more fun that it is. If you can open up an internet browser, go to ahaslides.com, and in this little code area, enter in B as in boy, B as in boy, test 22, and then click join. Click join. And that'll be the last call for that. In the meantime, do me a favor, do type in your name and your official's ID if you have it into the chat box. It makes taking attendance a little easier. Dave and I will do our best to manage to monitor the chat box if you have questions as we go along through the answers, and this will be, I think, a good time. All right. So I'm going to say this up front as a reminder. If you haven't yet, please take the opportunity to log on to the MHSA page. Check your MIG status, your member in good standing status, and this is basketball. So you will actually want to make sure that you are marked as a member in good standing in both boys and girls basketball. If you're only marked a member in good status in one, you're only going to be able to officiate one of those sports in the postseason. You want to make sure you upload your schedule. Anything you have in the Arbiter doesn't automatically get loaded up on the MHSAA page. So you want to load up your schedule. You need to opt in to available playoff dates that you might be available to officiate. Normally they mark everybody as available, and it's up to you to have to go in there and mark which days you're not available. However, this is the first year where you have to opt in to marking yourself available for those dates. And then what I'll do at the end is, after we go through the exam, for anybody who wants to stay on, I will log into the MHSA page and make sure those who are interested, I can take you on a quick tour to make sure you know where to go and click. It can be a little counterintuitive if you're not used to it. All right. So with that, what I am going to do is last call, ahaslides.com, BB test 22. And we'll go ahead and we'll get started. See menu, stop presenting, start presenting. All right. Let's see here. Switch to private, high instruction bar, switch to full screen. All right, slide. Thought I knew how to do this. Give me, switch to window version, stop presenting. I thought I knew how to do this. I'm going to have to edit this part out. Why am I having a hard time with this? Okay, bear with me here real quick. MDAO, centered, present. Let's see if I can advance the slide. In the meantime, Dave, while I'm fumbling around with the presentation, do you have anything for the good of the group tonight? Have you had any unusual circumstances or anything?
I haven't seen it written anywhere, but I've worked a few games so far, and it seems a couple of situations, there aren't any of them that are wrong, but the pregame meeting with the captain and the coaches.
Oh, yes, that one, it's COVID.
Just so we're your uniform as officials, is it going to happen by the scorers table with the coaches and the captains, or are we going just like we did before, mid-court with just the players and the officials? What have you guys done?
I know I've been all over the place a little bit because the year before COVID it was the first year that we had it where you have the two coaches and the captains together in front of the table, and then you say what you need to say about sportsmanship and anything else, and then you send the players away, and then you have a quick discussion with the coaches. Is that how your understanding of how it's supposed to be done now, Dave?
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to remove the clunkiness of it so we were all comfortable having our game on before we threw the ball up.
Okay, full screen, present from the first slide. Oh, there it is. Goodness gracious. Okay, everybody. I just came right back from a middle school game, as Dave did, and so now I'm familiar with what we're doing. Okay, so waiting for players to join. So if you're logged on, what you'll see as an opportunity is to type in a username. So type in a username. Again, it is being recorded. Keep it clean. It can be a fun name. It can be a funny name. The best ones are where we know who you are, that kind of a thing, so we can kind of follow along with the leaderboard. And again, the more people that log on, it's going to be a good time. Scotty Tahati, nice. I like it. All right. And again, if you haven't logged on yet, but you're like, oh, I think this might be fun, ahaslides.com, real quick, type in BB test 22. And at any time during the course of this, you can log on. You can log on to the fifth question, that kind of a thing. But it's more fun when you start like right from the very beginning. All right. Looks like we have everybody who I think we're probably going to have. Going once.
Question: you have to have an account in order to log in?
Nope. It's we pay for a per test fee from the association, so it's free. ahaslides.com. At the top, you'll see a little place where you can click the BB test 22 and then click the join button. And it should take you right to this part of the presentation.
Was that Lance Davis?
There it is.
Yeah, Lance, I was just reffing one of, I don't know if you remember, Jeff, I believe his last name is pronounced Nagy, Nagy, N-A-G.
Jeff Nagy.
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah.
He's like, do you know Lance Davis? I'm like, yeah, I know Lance Davis. So, all right, we'll go ahead and we'll get rolling here. So I'm going to start the quiz. Here we go. So the first question, again, faster you answer, more points. Before the ball is tossed to start the game, B12 intentionally fouls A15. 2 shots for team A, AP arrow set when the ball's at the disposable team A. 2 shots for A15, AP arrow is set first possessed fouling the free throws, or no shots are awarded. Ball is awarded team A for throwing at the division line. What you got? A, B, or C? All right, see what we got. All right. I think most of us got this one. I included this one, Dave, because I think it got a little goofed up. But I think most of us got this. You had anything to kind of add about this particular scenario?
Not really number one. Just as with all MHSAA tests, you got to be careful with the wording. You got to go back to your middle school years and read the words really carefully before you submit your answer. But time is of the essence.
Yep. So up here, when as we're going through the exam, it might be the second question in the quiz, but I will always mark the question as it pertains to the number on the test. So on the test, the answer is A. If somebody intentionally fouls somebody before the ball is tossed, team A gets the ball or gets to shoot the free throws, and the arrow is set when the ball is at the disposal of team A for the throw in, because the foul occurred before the ball was tossed. AP arrow hadn't been set yet. So you have to set the AP arrow and point it the opposite direction of the team you give the ball to. All right.
And Shane, that's when the ball is at the disposal of the thrower, not after the ball is inbounded.
Right. So immediately you hand the ball to him. Normally we switch the arrow and we do all that after the ball's legally touched after a held ball. But in this situation where the AP arrow had yet to be set, it's when you give the ball and put it at the disposal of the thrower. All right, let's see how everyone did here. All right, Jay is in the lead. Let's go to the next question. Question 2, which corresponds to number 3 on the test. Where is the throw-in administered after a flagrant foul? Designated at a bounce spot nearest the foul, division line opposite the scorer's table, or either, depending on if it was a personal or technical flagrant foul. A, B, or C? At a bounce spot nearest, division line opposite, or it could be either, depending upon the type of flagrant foul. Okay, all right, a little bit of a mixed one here. The correct answer is C. It is either. Dave, talk us through this one a little bit since we got results here.
When I read this question, I was thinking the same way the guys did who answered B. We have 2 different situations here. We have one where, if it's the flagrant foul, it's spot nearest where the foul occurred. When is it where you put the ball to half court? Obviously, it's not on the flagrant foul now. So we know the difference between the 2.
Yeah. I think it's really important whenever we talk about flagrant fouls, most of us assume it's some kind of physical act, some kind of non-basketball play. where somebody just crushes somebody on a breakaway layup or a punch or something like that, some kind of flagrant non-basketball act. But you can have flagrant technical fouls that are so unsportsmanlike that it would be a flagrant foul, technical, and that's it. It doesn't involve any physical contact. Now, Dave, if it's a flagrant personal foul or a flagrant technical foul, what's the penalty for the player or coach potentially who committed that flagrant foul?
Are you saying like direct, indirect?
Or do they get to stay in the game?
What do we have? Do we have a question? Did we get the answer on that?
That's from me to you. That's from me to you. So the players. So if I do such an unsportsmanlike, it's my first technical foul, but the official registers it and reports it as a flagrant technical. Does that player stay in the game because it's his first, or would he automatically be removed from the contest?
Automatically removed.
Yep. So any kind of flagrant foul, personal, technical, player is removed from the game. And potentially it could be a coach if it's a flagrant technical. If the penalty was so severe on the first offense, they would be ejected from the game.
So on a flagrant, he gone.
Yep.
Hey, Shane, can I add that maybe the correct is to use intentional or technical, because intentional would go out at the spot of the foul or nearest the foul versus a technical would go out at half court.
Right. So we have three different kinds of fouls. You got your common fouls, you got a regular common personal foul, which occurs out of bounds nearest the foul. An intentional foul, which again, the enforcement for an intentional foul can be somebody trying to grab the jersey, stop the clock, intentionally try to stop the clock, or it could be a foul so physical that it is more and worse than a common foul, but it doesn't rise to the level of a flagrant foul. It might not be intentional, meaning like maybe he didn't mean to hit him that hard, but he did. It can still be ruled an intentional foul. That's 2 shots to the offended player, and the team gets the ball nearest to where the foul occurred. But when it becomes a flagrant foul for a personal foul, the enforcement is treated like that very similarly of an intentional foul, meaning 2 shots, ball nearest to where the foul occurred, unless it's a flagrant technical, and then that is administered the same way as any other technical foul. And that's an easy way to remember it. The only difference is flagrant technical, flagrant personals, the player and or coach who committed that penalty is ejected from the game, regardless of what foul count that was for him. All right. So Jay's still in the lead, Nolan hot on his heels. Next question. A1 is in the front court, throws a cross court pass to A2, and the ball deflects off the ring and goes into the back court where teammate A3 is the first to touch it and retrieve it. Is this a backcourt violation? Or is it team control ends on a pass? No violation. Or C, it doesn't matter if it was a try or a pass. So somebody's in the corner, throwing a pass, it hits the ring, deflects into the backcourt, teammates first to touch it. And the correct answer is yes, a backcourt violation. And
Everyone got that right?
yeah, so about half. And so I think the key to understanding this question, Dave, is team control. And when does team control end?
The team control, they keep team control until the shot is up the shot is in flight.
Yep.
B controls the ball, not just touches or deflects, but controls the ball, or when the ball is dead.
Yep. So it does matter if, in the official's opinion, when that ball hit the ring, did it hit the ring from the result of a a try for field goal, or did it hit the ring in the official's opinion as a pass? If the official's opinion, the player was trying to pass the ball to another teammate and it was not a shot attempt, team control has not ended, even though the ball has hit the ring. And so just like as if a teammate, team A was last to touch it and first to touch it in the backcourt, that's what makes this a backcourt violation, is because it was ruled a pass. Anybody have any questions on that one? Yeah.
Is it too late for guys to get in on the test?
Nope, go ahead. Feel free to jump in, ahaslides.com. And when you log on and you have a little area at the top, type in BB test 22 and click join. And it should take you right to the location of where we are in the quiz.
And you might have to toggle between a couple of screens if you want to come back to see us what we're talking about here, but it's manageable.
Yep. So yeah, so I have my screen up as a Zoom, and if you have it up on your internet browser, you should be following along on the slides. All right. Scotty the Hottie takes over. All right, here we go. It's rigged just so I could say Scotty the Hottie's in the lead. Coach asked, why wasn't that a charge? Which of the following is by rule the only legitimate response an official should give? Coach or defender did not have legal guarding position. Coach or defender jumped prior to contact. Coach or defender wasn't set when contact occurred. Coach or defender was too far under the basket to take a charge. By rule, when a coach says, why wasn't that a charge? What should we as an official be ready to say?
How about you don't insert your foot?
Yeah,
first.
Don't insert foot. Never a good look. We got it. All right, coach or defender not have legal guarding position. This was number 5 on the test, corresponds to letter A for the answer. Now, if the coach isn't caught off guard by that response, his next question should be, and you as an official need to be ready, is why did he not have legal guarding position in your opinion? And then it's, then it's a response of, he didn't have both feet in bounds. He had a foot on the end line, or his body was going into the defender, into the ball handler, or he lost verticality or something like that. So if a coach asks, why wasn't that legal guarding position? Then that's when you can get into more details. So,
and just be careful not to get too wordy.
Yep.
And if you do cite a rule and utter the by rule, coach, it better be what the book rule is and not your interpretation or how you perceive it to be.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to look foolish if you didn't have it right.
Yeah.
When he goes in it or she goes in at halftime to look up that rule.
Because all these other ones, coach or defender jump prior to contact. Well, if the defender jumps straight up in his vertical plane, he's allowed to do that. Coach or defender wasn't set when contact occurred. Once he's obtained that legal guarding position and is established in front of the offensive ball handler, he can be moving his feet. He doesn't have to be set. And for D, this is not college. A defender could be obtaining legal guarding position directly underneath the basket. So these are all kind of sometimes myths for why we might not call a player control when we should as officials. All right, see how Scotty's doing. Oh, Scotty's still up there. All right. Next. On a throw-in, team A maintains team control until any team B player gains control of the ball becomes dead. Opponent of the throw-in team touches the throw-in pass. Player control is obtained in bounds by a player of either team. Or D, release of the throw-in because at the point the ball is no longer at the disposal of the thrower. Team A maintains team control until. Let's find out what the answer is. It is A. The answer is A. So Dave, let's talk about team control real quick on an inbounds.
Well, they cited the rule 412-2 as saying a team is control the ball when a player of the team is in control while live ball is being passed among teammates during an interrupted dribble. And the last one is when a player of the team has the disposal of the ball for a throw-in. That's 412-4 if you've looked at that.
Yeah. Now, why does this matter? This matters because if a team A player on a throw-in commits an offensive foul and team B's in the bonus, there would be no free throws. If there's an illegal screen, if there's a push off to try to get free to get the ball, it's treated as if that push off or illegal screen, happened while the ball was in play. So that's why understanding when team A loses team control on a throw-in, that is a very important reason why that matters.
And then in rule 442, article 5, as it cites for us, the throw-in ends when A, the ball passed is touched or touched by another player inbounds. B, the pass ball touches or is touched by a player out of bounds, except in a different rule. And C, when the throw-in team commits a throw-in violation.
Yep.
So they get both ends of the bookend on that.
Yep. So team A is going to keep that team control that whole time until team B player gains control or the ball becomes dead. And so if that ball's thrown in bounds and it's tipped and it's touched, but team B hasn't gained control and team A commits a foul, that's still considered an offensive foul and you wouldn't shoot free throws if they're in a bonus. All right, let's see how we're doing. Tim, you made it. You logged on. Good seeing you. All right, Tim is in the driver's seat. Next question. Next question is number 9 on the test. A5, while standing inbounds behind the backboard, shoots the ball over the backboard and the ball passes through the basket. Does the try count or does the try not count because the ball is out of bounds when it passes over the backboard? For those of us who just got done doing middle school games or maybe coach middle school or something, this is the level when you see stuff like this. So does the bucket count or not count? Oh, Dave, I think everybody's got this one. I mean, you got anything to add?
Well, thankfully we've got all the best pros in the game working our games, but what if we have a backboard with rounded edges?
Yep. Does the rounded edges on a backboard make a difference as far as whether or not the ball is out of bounds when it goes over the backboard? Anybody know that one off the top of their head?
I believe it does, but if it goes clear over it, then it's still out of bounds. But if it goes to where it doesn't go clear over it, then it can still be in play.
Sean is absolutely correct. Is that those rounded backboards that you won't see that often unless you're doing a middle school game sometimes, does make a difference. But if it's a regular backboard that we're all used to, the only time the ball's out of bounds is when it touches a support, touches the back of the backboard, or it travels over the backboard from either direction. All right, let's see how we're doing. Ooh, oh, Nick. Nick is in the house and he is hot on the heels of Tim. All right, moving on. Number 12 from the exam. A5 attempts a field goal while the ball is on the ring. B1 slaps the backboard on the opposite side and causes the ball to fall off the ring. Is this goaltending and a technical foul assessed to B1? Is this not goaltending, but B1 gets a technical foul? Or is it no violation or foul by B1? What do we got here? Goaltending and tech? Just a tech? Or is a play on? Okay. Now, Dave, before I turn it over to you, this is understandable. The correct answer on the exam is B for number 12 from the exam. But Dave, how about you? I'll let you explain a little bit why, in the MHSA's opinion, maybe why it should be a technical foul and not a play on or a goaltending or anything like that.
It's an intentional attempt to interfere with the ball going through the basket.
Yeah.
And it's on the opposite side of the backboard, as I read the question.
Yep. So the way they go ahead, sorry.
Well, I'm just saying this is something we all should probably cover in pregame. You know, because we've seen, and I'll work with people that maybe it happened to you. We freeze, we see it happen, we say, oh shoot, and we freeze and we got nothing, or we over assess something and we come up right with a technical when a technical isn't actually deserving.
Yeah. So if you are during a 3-person crew and you're sitting in that center and that trail position and you see this action, what you have to ask yourself in your head is, was that a legitimate attempt at blocking the shot? And if in your opinion, it was a legitimate attempt at blocking the shot, even if the contact on the backboard is severe, even if it causes the ring to vibrate a little bit or the backboard to vibrate a little bit, it's a play on and it is nothing. And you're going to get the coach whose kid missed the layup screaming in your ear about it, but that's what it is. The intent of this rule is it can only be a technical foul if it's anything, and it has to be pretty egregious such that the player's trying to draw attention to himself. He's trying to not make a play on the shot. That is essentially what the criteria is. And this is where we get the pay the big bucks. Is it a play on, because he was making a legitimate attempt, or do we think it's so bad of an act that it rises to the level of a technical foul? That's kind of what it comes down to. Unfortunately, in the high school level, we do not have any discretion at calling basket interference or goaltending in this case. All right. Any questions on that one? That was 12, letter B. All right. Okay. Tim, hanging tight. Number 14, A5 dribbles in the backcourt near the division line. A5 dribbles the ball in the front court, steps in the front court with 1 foot, and with that same foot touches it in the backcourt. Is this a backcourt violation, or is it no violation and play on? A1 is dribbling, A5 is dribbling, ball's bouncing in the front court, right foot touches the front court, still dribbling in the front court, and then he moves his same right foot into the back court. What do we got? Play on or violation? All right. I think most of us kind of got this. Dave, what does it take for somebody to establish front court status?
How many points are we talking about? 2 feet in the ball? When all 3 are over the side of the line. I think there's a story about pig shit that I always reference when I talk about this. The front court is the pig shit, and it's not transferred to the back court unless all 3 points come back over.
Yep. And so when you have the situation in your game, and usually it's because somebody's closely guarded and they're dribbling and that ball's bouncing in the front court and the back court, a foot's going in the front court and the back court, that kind of a thing. When that ball's bouncing, err on the side in your head that they maintain backcourt status until it's pretty clear that both feet and that bouncing ball is going to be in the front court. When the ball is possessed, that's a little different, and that's a little more clear cut and easier calls to make generally. See where we're doing. All right. Awesome. So that was number 14, letter B was the correct answer. Next. Will correspond to number 16 on the exam. Driving to the basket. A1's try fails to reach the basket, and A1 catches an airborne ball while it's on the floor and attempts another try that scores. Is this a traveling violation? or no violation. Another very common play you're going to see at the middle school level. That kid that never gets to play underneath the basket, throws the ball straight up in the air, doesn't touch anything, he catches it again, and he shoots it again, and it goes in. No violation. Great. Let that kid have his moment in the sun. That's not why, though. The reason is because what's the definition of a shot, and kind of what does it not include, in the definition of shot? Dave, I don't know if you have it right there in the book, or if you kind of just want to paraphrase it. But
well, the question is A1's try.
Yep.
So the interpretation is assuming that it was the official saying it was a shot. It's got to be a try.
Yep. And there is no provision in the rule book that says for it to be a try, for it to be a shot, that it has to hit the ring, it has to hit the backboard. It doesn't say that. It just has to be in the official's opinion that that player was trying to score a try. That's
I haven't seen it, but I imagine there's a smart enough player who picks up his dribble and is frozen nowhere near the basket and just throw something up, catch it and say that was a shot. But in your perspective, it has to be a try.
Yeah. And I'm sure no one here on this Zoom meeting would get caught off guard by that. We'd all be like, oh, I know what you're up to. Oh, Adam's up there now. Adam's coming for you, Tim. All right, next question. Corresponds to number 19 on the exam. B1 has established legal guarding position. A1 contacts B1 in torso as B1 is moving backwards. A foul is called. This must be a player control foul on A1, or it must be a blocking foul on B1. This is a bit of a callback to the, why wasn't that a charge or something like that. It's legal guarding position, understanding what goes in to obtaining legal guarding position and what can they do after that. That's right. Looks like most of us understand this. If you're going to have a whistle, it's got to be a player control in the situation. Dave, I'm going to steal the show a little bit. I just got done reffing a middle school game earlier today, and there was a defender who was big, and he was set. He had established legal guarding position, and a little guard for the other team runs right into him. And it was like running into a brick wall. And the big guy just stood there like, what? And we let it go because it didn't affect the defender at all. But if we had blown our whistle, it would have had to have been a player control foul, because in our opinion, that defender had established legal guarding position. And again, those defenders, once they establish legal guarding position, they can jump straight up. They can jump backwards. They can move backwards. They can turn sideways to protect themselves. Maybe there's a really big guy coming and they can turn and they can like yikes and protect themselves. They can be moving their feet laterally to maintain that legal guarding position in front of that ball handler. That is all legal, and that's all part of legal guarding position. And any contact initiated by the offensive player, if it, in our opinion, rises to the level of a foul, is going to have to be a player control.
So Shane, you're describing that the head and the shoulders have to pass, of the person with the ball has to pass the torso of the defender, head and shoulders.
Yep. That's a good way of putting it. So for it to no longer be legal guarding position, if that ball handler gets that head and that shoulder past the defender's not going to be able to maintain legal guarding position. Correct, Dave?
Yep.
Yep. All right. See what we got here. All right. Here we go. Next question. This will correspond to number 20. A screen. Short one here. Easy for me to type in. Does not cause contact, delays an opponent from reaching a position, can only be performed by the offense, prevents an opponent from reaching position, or letter E, which is A, B, and D. A screen. does not cause contact, delays an opponent from reaching a position, can only be performed by the offense, prevents an opponent from reaching the position, or A, B, and D. This is number 20 on the exam. The answer is E, A, B, and D. All right.
Did I get that right?
Most people got that one. Most people got that one right. I'm yeah. So
Okay. Dave,
Yeah.
yeah, Dennis.
Bostwick here. Screening can cause contact. You can't force yourself through the screen, but contact. That's there's going to be, if you set a legal screen, there's going to be contact.
Yeah. And I think that's
So
go ahead, Dennis.
So contact is almost unavoidable.
So, and again, this is sometimes how the MHSAA likes to word some of their questions. A screen does not cause contact, but contact may be the result of screening action. So if the person who is setting the screen is initiating and causing that contact, it's going to be an illegal screen because they're either moving into that person, etc.
Got it. Okay, good point.
So
if I am ever involved in litigation, I'm going to hire you.
so that's and that's a great way for us to think about it, is screens don't cause contact, but contact may occur as a result of a legally set screen.
When Dennis played in high school, it was a fly swatting into a windshield.
There we go.
So you got to get after your teammates, not calling out a screen. So
That's right. Exactly. You know, like everybody screaming for a legal screen. It's like, don't yell at me, yell at your teammates.
fly on a windshield.
No,
Yeah.
he was there.
Yeah.
All right. See how we're doing on the leaderboard here. All right. Tim A and Adam C maintaining that distance, but Mr. Oshansky, not too far off the lead. He's drafting. A player may make a normal landing with one or both feet in the backcourt after securing the ball with both feet off the floor during a jump ball, throw in, defense, all of the above, or A and B only. A player can make a normal landing with one or both feet in the backcourt. So guys in the air, doesn't have the ball. While he's in the air, he grabs the ball and now has possession and control of the ball. And he lands in the backcourt. When can he do that? Okay, all right. So the answer is all the above. We had a bit of a mix. We had D, which is the correct answer on the exam, all of the above. But some of us only selected E, which is A and B. And so it's that defense. It's that defense. And Dave, what's the scenario where somebody who's on defense might be able to leap from their front court, grab the ball, landing in the back court? I'm thinking of when they're full court pressing.
Really?
Yep. So if we have a full court pressing team, team B is playing full court defense. A ball is zinged up the court and player B1 is like that defensive back, leaps from what is his front court, grabs that ball midair, landing in his now back court with the steal. That is nothing. And that is legal, and he can land and maintain.
The player may make a normal landing, and it makes no difference whether his foot is down in the front or backward.
Yep. Jump ball, same thing, and a throw in. So a throw in, I had a teammate who we would be passing the ball around our 3-point line or something, and point guard would go to get a release pass, and he would jump from his front court. Teammate passes him the ball from out of bounds, and he catches the ball in midair and lands in the backcourt. And we sometimes got called for a backcourt violation because some of the officials didn't know the rule. So there is no front court status if you're throwing the ball from a throwing spot in and around your front court. See what we have here. Leaderboard. Oh, Mr. Oshansky. Leapfrog Adam C. Here we go. Number 26 on the exam, ball is out of bounds when it touches. Number 26 on the exam, ball is out of bounds when it touches. Player out of bounds, ceiling and overhead equipment, official out of bounds, a support of the backboard, or all of the above. When is the ball out of bounds? And I think we've all had this happen to us as an official, where we're on the court and there's a tip ball or something and it zings and you weren't ready for it and it hits you, and then you have to figure out, was I out of bounds? Am I in bounds? What's going on here? What's the rule? And we all got that one. If it hits any of these things, it is considered out of bounds. Now, let me ask you this, Dave. If I am an official and I have 1 foot in bounds, and I have 1 foot out of bounds, and the ball touches me, what's the ball status at that point?
What do you guys have? I have out of bounds.
Everybody agree with that?
Now, if you're out of bounds, I have to ask, as an official, do you get style points if you don't duck, or you just let it hit you?
I've had some where because that ball's coming at me 100 miles per hour and it's the fastest I've ever moved sometimes, but other times I've been a little too slow on the uptake. All right.
Never duck. That's right, Adam.
All right. 2 questions left. Number 29 of the exam, correctable errors do not involve judgment, scoring, setting aside a rule, all of the above, or only A and C. Correctable errors do not involve which of the following? And for us to be able to answer this question, we have to know what can be corrected. What are correctable errors? If you know those 5 things, easy question. Yep. A and C. A and C. Correctable errors involve only scoring, and it's the first is really easy to remember. 4 of them involve free throws of some kind, and then the 5th one is it a 2 or is it a 3? And so all of those involve some kind of scoring or scoring attempt to be said. But everything else, judgment, setting aside a rule, or any of that kind of stuff, those can't be corrected. Now, what I will say is, though, even though it's not a correctable error per se, if it's a imagine you're in a 3-person mechanic game, you're a trail and a center, and it's up near the division line or something like that, and there's a bang bang play or something. Maybe your partner calls it over and back and you maybe had like, no, defense was the last to touch it. You're clear. It's definitely dead wrong. It's not a correctable error, but you can go to your partner and say, John, no. Go the other way. Here's why, that kind of a thing. It's the same kind of situation where if you point the wrong direction and you give the wrong team on an out of bounds play, but you're dead wrong and your partner comes to you and say, Shane, you kicked that call, change it around. That's not a correctable error. That's not a correctable error situation. A correctable error situation, again, is when play continues after the error, there is a specific window of time when you can go back and make that correction. And of those, it can only be the 4 things involving free throws, or whether it was a 2 or a 3, that kind of a thing. Everything else, you can't go back and change. You have to correct it at that moment.
Shane, does it matter how agitated or loud the coach gets, that judgment somehow is now allowed?
It unfortunately is not. Now, the one that everybody thinks can be corrected and is a correctable error, that isn't. It's when we mess up an alternating possession arrow. If we've already given the ball to the wrong teams or something, and once we give that ball to the wrong team, that's it. Your window of opportunity of making sure the correct team gets it is gone. Now, by rule, that's how it's supposed to go. Again, if you're in a middle school game or something like that, and you realize the ball hasn't been inbound the ball, and you're like, oh, okay, and you just want to, for game management, kind of make sure the correct team gets the ball, that kind of thing, that's okay. But by rule, it's technically not a correctable error once, in an alternating possession arrow situation, you've handed that ball and put it at the disposal of the thrower in.
Hey Shane, I thought the rule for giving a throw into the wrong team was that you could correct it until the throw-in ends.
Ooh, Tim, I am going to have to double check on that. Dave, do you know that off the top of your head? I thought it was when it was at the disposal of the thrower that it's too late to correct it.
I've worked games where we've handled it both ways.
Okay. Tim, I'm going to get back to you on that and look that one up, because I'm sure there's a case book play in there somewhere about that situation, because that happens every now and then, doesn't it?
Yeah, I have had that happen to me once in the past.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you, I know how I'm going to handle it. I'm going to make sure the right team gets the ball if it hasn't been inbounded yet. That's how I'm going to handle it. But by rule, I want to make sure I know what I'm doing in that kind of a situation. Good question. Excellent question.
Shane,
Yeah.
I will admit to not having read the rule book since the 70s because of the size of the print. But you said there's 4 opportunities, free throws, and then the other one was whether it's a 2 or a 3.
Yep.
Correct. I've been under the impression since the beginning of time that if a made basket was awarded to the wrong team, that could be corrected.
Thank you, Dennis. Yeah. I paraphrase, and I probably shouldn't have. So on that situation, the most common situation is whether it's a 2 or a 3. But if you have a situation where team A scores the bucket and you as an official and everyone in the gym knows it's wrong, that kind of a thing, and the scorebook is kind of turned around, that kind of a thing, you have that same window of opportunity, which is before the first dead ball becomes live, to correct that kind of a situation. And your correctable error window before the first dead ball becomes live, it really requires us to know what is a dead ball. A dead ball is not always when a clock is stopped. If somebody shoots a free throw and scores, who should not have, because we gave them a 1-on-1 when it was only the 6th foul, and they make both. That ball is inbounded after that made free throw. You can correct it. You can correct it. You can correct it. The other team comes down, misses a shot. You can still correct it. No dead ball, no dead ball, no dead ball yet. The next team comes down, they make a basket. It is now a dead ball. Clock's still running, but it's still a dead ball. You have to catch that mistake before that dead ball becomes live, which means before that team now inbounds the ball. So you could potentially have like 2 minutes of action. Nobody's making baskets, that kind of a thing. And you can still correct the error. But if they score that basket and that dead ball gets inbounded like 5 seconds after the error occurs, it's too late. So it's before the first dead ball after the error occurs becomes live, which is the window of opportunity to catch it.
Live ball, dead ball, live ball, play on.
Yep. Yep. All right. Last one. That was number 29, letter E on the exam. Number 30 on the exam. A team delay warning may be issued for thrower not taking the ball from the official, thrower not picking up the ball after it passes through the basket, failure to have a court ready for play following a timeout, or D, all of the above. When may we as officials issue a team delay warning?
They look like they could all be viable answers.
Yeah. This is a good one. This is one where a lot of people, I think, might learn from. Okay. I this is why I put this one on the exam, because I thought it was a good answer. So the short reason is failure to have the court ready for play following a timeout. So they spill water, they bring chairs on the court so everybody can sit down, and they've been doing all game and they just can't get the chairs back in time, and the court's not ready following a timeout, ready for play. You can issue a team delay warning. Why would you, let's see, how do I want to ask this for Dave? For A and B, if we're not going to issue a team delay in those situations, if we're not going to issue a team delay warning in those situations, what would we as officials do? What recourse do we have? You're trying to hand the ball to somebody and they don't take it from you.
I think these teams penalize themselves in these situations.
Yeah, they do. And so, like, if you're handing the ball to somebody and they don't take it and you as an official just drop it, you start your count. 1, 2, 3. And if they don't pick it up after a 5-second count, they lose it. Same thing with the thrower not picking the ball up after it passes through the basket. In your opinion, whenever that ball passes through the basket and it's at the disposal of the other team, that's when you start your count. Now, because we get to pay the big bucks, when we start that count and when we consider it at the disposal of the other team, wibble wobbles in different situations. If it's a 20-point game and the other team can't figure out who to take the ball out of bounds and you got 2 players running to try to take it out, I recommend not starting your count when it's at the disposal of the other team for a throw-in. Have some common sense of that kind of a situation. But if it's late in the game and the team is up by 5 points and they let the other team score and then they slow walk to take the ball out of bounds and the ball's at the disposal and it's just bouncing there waiting for somebody to pick it up, that's when you might want to have a sooner start count of a 5-second count. That's how we handle those situations.
You know the game you're working in, and when you put the ball on the ground and start that count, that should be your last course of action, because the pace of the game and so much thoughts that are swirling through these players' heads, there's a lot to get together, and it may take a second or 2, but that's okay. If the team is abusing it, put the ball on the ground and get your nice even count on. But if you're working with these coaches to have as smooth as a run game as possible, try to avoid that.
Yeah. So the correct answer for number 30 was letter C. All right, let's see if Tim held on. Tim, congratulations, my friend. You held on. You held on, all forthcomers. We have some other questions that people have a request to go over. I do want to, though, make sure that everybody knows, don't forget to complete this exam online. Filling out the paper test or being here at this meeting will not complete the test. You have to log on the MHSAA and complete the exam. Don't forget to check your MIG status. Do that tonight. Email us at metrodetroitathleticofficials@gmail.com if you think there's an error where you paid your dues, you attended meetings, but you're not marked as a member in good status. Let us know. Don't forget to enter your game schedule on the MHSAA page. What's in the arbiter doesn't automatically transfer over to the MHSAA, and they mean it. I had a football friend who very possibly could have had a state final. He did everything except he forgot to enter in his game schedule. And so enter those in. And then finally, don't forget to opt into your available playoff dates. Normally it was the other way around where you had to opt out. The MHSAA had too many people who they were assigning games to and weren't available. So it's now incumbent upon us to mark opt in on the MHSAA page. All right. So we had a couple of, I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. we had a couple requests real quick to go over some of the other ones on the exam. Number 10, and I'll read it here real briefly for everybody. Just prior to the administration of Team A throw-in, A2, A3, A4, and A5 take positions so close to each other that no defenders can fit between any of them without illegally displacing one of the other Team A players. In which situation only should an official allow Team B players to squeeze in between the Team A players? Anybody on the call want to give the answer for that one? Number 10 on the exam. Anybody who's already completed it?
If they're within 3 feet of the boundary and side by side.
Yep, parallel to the sideline. So I've actually seen videos of this at a middle school. It looked like a middle school game where it was a clear tactic by the offensive team to delay or to keep the other team from getting the ball and to prevent yourself from getting a 5-second count. And 4 players lined up right next to each other in front of the inbounder, and the inbounder just tossed the ball to one of those 4, and then they just handed off back to each other. And there was no room, and the defenders could not get to that ball without either illegally making contact or displacing or something like that. So in those situations where the team is parallel to each other and within 3 feet of the thrower of the boundary line, you may allow the defensive team to take positions in between Team A in that situation. So number 10 on the exam is answer B. If the Team A players are within 3 feet of throw-in boundary line and parallel to it. And I think we all understand for the rule, nothing cheap, that kind of a thing. We had another request to go over number 15 on the exam. And now I will say the only reason why I didn't include this on the quiz is because there's a character limit to the questions, and this is a long one. A1 is fouled by B1, is the 7th team foul on Team B, and A1 goes to the line for a 1-and-1. A1 makes a first free throw, but misses the second, where the rebound is tipped by A2. As Team B is bringing the ball up the court following the basket, the quarter ends. During the intermission, the official scorer alerts the officials that the foul on B1 was actually only the 6th foul on Team B, and that A1 should not have received a 1-and-1. How do we administer this play? So what's the question? First of all, is it a correctable error or not? So we have a player shooting a free throw who should not have shot a free throw. Is that a correctable error?
Yes.
Okay, that's one of the 4. Somebody being awarded an unmerited free throw. Now, the second thing you have to ask yourself is it within that window of correctability? And what is the window of correctability? Before the first
Live ball, dead ball, live ball.
Yep, before the first dead ball becomes live. All right. So in this situation, player A misses the second free throw. Team B grabs the rebound, quarter ends. Is that the first dead ball? The answer is yes. Has the first dead ball become live yet? Nope, because we haven't started the next quarter yet. So it is still within the window of correctability. And to really understand correctable errors, you just got to know the 4 that involves free throws, and then the 5th one, counting or not counting, erroneously counting or giving wrong team points, or not enough points in a 2 versus a 3, that kind of a thing.
Shane, the tip was made by A2, if you read the question. So A1 makes the first free throw, misses the second, but A2 tips it in.
Nolan, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I read the question. I still misunderstood it. Okay. So here we go. So I'll redo it. Guy shoots the free throw, misses. Ball is tipped, and that tip scores. That's the first dead ball. Thank you, Nolan. And then they inbound the ball, and then the ball's coming up the court, and the quarter ends. So when they inbounded that made shot, which was the first dead ball, and they inbounded the ball, and it becomes live. Thank you very much. At least I walked you through two different situations. One where it would be a correctable error and one where it wasn't a correctable error. So for clarity's sake, number 15 on the exam, the correct answer is letter D. The correctable error period ended when Team B had the ball at their disposal for the throw-in following the goal by A2, and no correction can be made. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. So it is D, number 15 is D. Okay. So the last, the other one that we had to go over, somebody asked a question about, was number 27. Same thing, I would have had this on the quiz, but character limit. When there's an unequal number of players from each team who participate in an on-court fight, assuming no bench players from either team leave the bench area, coaching staff did a great job, kept everybody on the bench, thank God, that kind of a thing. How will the ball be put into play following all required, free throws? So again, this is a situation where two players for Team A are fighting with one of Team B. Okay. First of all, anybody involved in a fight is summarily ejected from the game. Period. Dot. If it's a fight or an attempt to fight, and again, somebody throws a punch, doesn't have to make contact. That's a punch, that's a swing, they're ejected. But we got maybe two from Team A in a fight, one from Team B in a fight. How are we putting that ball back in play? Possession arrow, point of interruption, division line. Anybody know the
Division
answer off the
line.
top of their head for that one?
Vision line.
That's correct. The division line, throwing for the offended team. This might be a little different at the college level. But again, if it was even number of players involved in a fight, 2 and 2, 1 and 1, or whatever the case might be, then if I'm not mistaken, then it's going to be a point of interruption, almost like it was double technicals, or if it was like, a double personal foul or something like that. But when you have two players involved in a fight and one, how many free throws are there? Are we shooting 6 free throws, 2 for each fighter, and so one team shooting 4 free throws and another team shooting just 2 free throws? Or do you kind of take the difference? In other words, 2 players for Team A were fighting and only 1 player for Team B fighting. Team B in that situation will get the 2 free throws of the ball, if I'm not mistaken. Anybody got anything different for that?
Shane, wouldn't this, is fighting always a flagrant technical, or is it a flagrant foul? Would that also determine how you inbound it, or how you proceed after that, of how you did you call flagrant foul or flagrant technical for fighting?
Right. That's a good.
Would that be spot pierce or division line? That too would change where you would inbound it. So
Yep.
That's why the wording of this question is I couldn't understand it.
Yeah, Adam, you're right. That's kind of that's kind of what it comes down to, is that flagrant personal fouls versus flagrant technical, and that's a good way to help remember where you put things into play. And we have a good fighting response tool on our website. If you go to MetroDetroitAthleticOfficials.com and you go to basketball and you go to in the drop down box, there is a helpful tips and tools link. In there is a what to do in fights. And it goes through all different scenarios, because if you've never been part of these situations, I promise you, your brain is going to be thinking 5,000 different things. You're going to have so many things to worry about. And now you as a crew, you have to say, okay, what do we got? Who was involved? Who wasn't? That kind of a thing. And we might only be involved in one of these situations in our career. If we do it for a long time, we might not ever be involved in a situation like this. But it's incumbent upon us to be prepared for if and when something like this does occur. Any other questions? Anything else? That was number 27. The correct answer is C, division line throw in for the offended team.
Shane,
Yes.
28.
28. When a foul occurs.
I thought
Oh, go ahead.
at the one of the meetings at Groves, I thought one of you guys said that because prior to this year, it was acceptable to use both hands to indicate, correct?
Yes.
So, but didn't one of you guys say that this year, you were talking about some sort of change, that this year they want to do away with that and they want to go back, revert back to where you use one hand, or did I misunderstand the conversation?
Might have been a miscommunication, because they do want you using two hands.
Oh, they do want, okay.
Yep, they do. So for example, if it's number 11, number
Yes.
11, not, like
Oh,
that
okay.
kind of a thing. They do want you using both hands.
I mean,
So
it's
for-
possible you might have mixed up the fact that the MHSA is not having any COVID specific protocols this year.
Yeah. So for number 28, when a foul occurs, the officials shall verbally inform the offender. 28, illegal contact. Then A and C. So the correct answer is letter D, both A and C, which corresponds to you verbally inform the score of the offended, the number of the offender, and use both hands to indicate the score, the number of the offender. All right, boop, tweet, 11, legal contact. Fouls on 11, legal contact, out of bounds, 2 shots, whatever, that kind of a thing.
Thank you.
Any other questions that anybody is feeling uncomfortable about? Wanted to verify the answer.
Shane, I was booted. While you guys went through, did you guys go over question number 1?
Question number 1. We did go over question number 1. That was the first one on the quiz. The answer was letter A. Before the ball is tossed to start the game, B12 intentionally fouls A15. Officials
Yeah.
blow 2 shots to team A, and AP arrow set when the ball is placed at the disposal.
Okay, because I came in on the back end of it. Thank you.
Understand. You bet.
Hey, Shane,
Yeah.
number 11, and this is only because I'm extremely technology challenged. I don't understand. I think the question is addressing these little pads or tablets, whatever, that the guys can have on the bench.
Yep.
The one that I don't understand how could take place is there a way that they can communicate with a player on the court? I don't know what that means.
Well, I think one example where they might communicate with a player on the court is, let's say they pulled up a play number or something, or some kind of play imagery that if it's a picture of Donald Duck, this is the play you're supposed to run, that kind of a thing. And they just pull up different images. That's one way of communicating with the player. So I've never actually seen that, but by rule, excuse me, the use of electronic device on the bench is permitted only except that kind of a situation. So usually it's a manager recording statistics, somebody recording video, or they're looking up a play from the internet. Now, they are not allowed to show you. They're not allowed to say, hey, Shane, you missed that call. You want to see?
Yeah.
Boop.
Yep.
No, I don't. Have a good night.
Yeah. So B is the answer, right?
The B is the answer. Communication with player on the court is not allowed with an electronic device. And that might be an iPad, that might be some other kind of electronic device.
Well, yeah, I'm so out of it. I interpreted that to mean is I see kids running around with those white things hanging out of their ears,
Yep.
the buds, I think they're called.
Yep. There's
I was
that.
thinking maybe some kid's got one of those in his ear and, the coach is talking to him,
And
but
you know
that's,
what? Adam brings up a good example. A megaphone, electronic device. It's not
oh,
always
wait,
that
okay,
bad.
there you go.
Yep. Yep. Good.
Gotcha.
example.
Okay.
Any other questions anybody wants to verbally verify for the exam? I know we
So
didn't
the
go.
correct answer to number 11 is B, right?
Correct answer to number 11, yes, is B. I know we didn't go over every single one, but some of the answers, some of them were pretty easy and they have the rules.
I'm very nervous right now. You know, this is my idea.
Could you go over 13, Sean?
Sure, I'm more than happy to do 13. Number 13, another long one. A1 begins his dribble outside his three-point arc. Dribbling towards his basket, he touches the ball with both hands while only his right foot is touching the floor inside the three-point arc. To create some space between himself and the defender, he jumps back off that right foot, lands on both feet simultaneously outside the three-point arc. He then jumps off both feet and releases a try that is successful. What does this result in? The short answer for consideration of time is C. This is legal, and the successful three-point signal should be given by the official from whom the primary coverage area the player attempted the shot for goal. And so basically they pick up that ball on their, I forget what it was, right foot inside the arc, which is now their pivot foot. They leap off of that pivot foot and come down, boom, both feet at the same time outside the three-point arc, jump again, shoot, make three-pointer. Why was that not a travel? He left his pivot foot and he came back down both feet at the same time. Well, it's because by rule, a second pivot has not yet been established because he came down both feet at the same time. This is something you see a lot of players try to do, but not do it successfully. What they do is they try to jump off that first foot, having the ball, and they try to create space from the defender to get that three-point shot off. Oftentimes what they do is it'll be boom, boom. Well, that's a travel because when that first foot comes down, that's the new pivot, and you can't reestablish another pivot without first dribbling, that kind of a thing. And so that would be a travel. Or if they leap off that single foot, land on both feet simultaneously, but maybe that defender closes the gap, as long as they keep those feet locked in place, it's nothing. But then if they pivot to try to get that pass away, that becomes a travel because now they've established a new pivot foot. All right. So the answer for
This usually happens after an episode of Street Ball, watching the professor.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Shane,
Yeah.
when reading 13, as you read it out loud, remember you said in the very beginning, you got to be careful of the wording.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as you were reading that, the second sentence says, dribbling toward his basket, he touches the ball with both hands. Well, would that not, I know this is what woulda, coulda, shoulda, or whatever, but my thought was he just double dribbled. He touched the ball with both hands while he's dribbling.
I think he's gathering the ball.
Yeah.
Off of him.
They're talking about that. Yeah, he picked it up then. Is that what it is, Dave?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That's all right. So then if that's the case, then it does make C the answer. The C's got to be the correct one.
Bingo.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other questions you wanted to verify? And again, you know it's all the long ones. Weren't on the quiz. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll stay on for a few minutes. I'm going to stop the recording. Well, I think I'll keep the recording going because it might help some people as far as knowing where to go for the MHSAA. But for those of you who want to stay for that, feel free. For those of you who want to log off, go get some dinner, go watch a game on TV, go hang out with your family. I genuinely appreciate everybody being here tonight. I know it's not easy. We're trying to squeeze a meeting in here or there in between games. Believe me, I get it. So again, thank you for showing up. Thank you for getting better. Have a good night. Hang on, I'll do a share screen with the MHSAA and show you how to kind of do some of those. When somebody says take care of your business, this is the business they're talking about taking care of.
And thank you, Shane, for putting together tonight and all of our meetings that you do for us. Thank you.
I appreciate that,
Yep.
Dave.
Nicely done, Shane. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, nice job, Shane.
Thanks, Jack. All right, I'm going to share my screen real quick again. And I'm going to exit out of here. Let's see here.
Shane, how and when will this meeting be available to view recorded?
So what I intend to do is I intend to, after we finish up here, I'm going to save it, download it, and I'm going to upload it to YouTube. And I can usually do that the evening of, and then I'll send that link back out via Constant Contact email.
Perfect. Thank you.
You bet. All right. So for those of us who are still on here, again, mhsaa.com. I'll start here. So the first thing to do is don't go to officials. You first have to log on using your what's usually your email address and then your password. Now, after you log on successfully, you'll see this My Little MHSA here. And a lot of things where people kind of, again, it's a little counterintuitive. But a lot of people are like, oh, I'm logged in now. I want to go do all my stuff. I need to do that. Everybody says I got to take care of. And we go click officials. Logically, that makes sense. But you want to actually click the My MHSAA link here. And after you click that, like, what's going on? Where'd everything go? Down here on the left-hand side is what we want to look for. And there's lots of different things that you can do. You can go manage your account, your contact information. If you move, you can update your addresses, change cell phone, email address, whatever. But what we want for tonight is officials services. And once you get to official services, this is where everything is. This is where your ratings are. This is where you actually take the test. This is where you enter in your availability and conflicts. So I'm just going to take them one at a time real quick. Availability conflicts. Want to click on there, make sure you select the correct sport. Again, if you want to ref both girls and boys basketball, don't forget to opt in. If you don't do it, they're all going to be marked. They're all going to start as not available. You have to physically go in here, click available, and before you leave the page, click save. A lot of people have gotten caught where they said available, 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 available. They didn't click save, and then they went to a different page. So mark yourself available, click save, do it for both boys and girls basketball if you want to be seen as available on those playoff dates. Okay. Now, whenever you want to say, okay, how do I get back there? You've got all of these, or you can, again, go up to official services here. You can click My MHSAA to get back to the main page of your My MHSAA. But let's go now to exams. So this is where you actually take the exam. So what it'll look like, you'll start it. And the exam questions, normally they back in the day, they would shift around the answers a little bit. And so you couldn't just say, I at the meeting, they said the answer is A. Oh, okay, I'm going to click A. They would move the answers around. From what I've seen, they don't move the answers around, but always double check and make sure that what we said was letter A actually corresponds to what you're selecting. And then you want to do all that in one sitting, those 30 questions, make sure it submits and you get through the end. And if you're successful, you'll see something like this that you've passed, and then you'll also get an email notifying you that you passed. And you can take it twice. So before you could only take it one time, win, lose, or draw, it was what it was. Now you can take it once. If you don't get the 80% passing thing, you can try again on a second attempt. All right, so member in good standing. You want to check here. Now, it doesn't matter what association you're a member in good standing with if you want to officiate in the postseason, but you got to be a member in good standing in the sport you want to officiate in the postseason with an approved association, whether that's the Tri-County, whether that's the Southeastern Michigan, whether, whatever that might be. You want to make sure you're on here. And again, you want to make sure it's both girls and boys basketball if you want to work both. If you're with the MDAO, the Metro Detroit Athletic Officials, if you've paid your dues, you've attended your meetings, and you log on and you're like, wait a second, why am I not on here? Why am I not showing member in good standing for boys and girls basketball? Or maybe it's one or the other. Again, email us, let us know we made a mistake. Metro Detroit Athletic Officials at gmail.com. And the other email address you can do is, because it's Mike Schramm that helps us out with that. You can also, if I'm not mistaken here, bear with me real quick. Whoops, let's do MDAO. Is it MDAO? All right, well, I'll find it. It's, I forget Mike's direct email address, but if you get it to Metro Detroit Athletic Officials at gmail.com, I'll be making sure to be monitoring that and make sure Mike is aware that something needs to be updated. Okay, so the schedule. Again, you want to make sure you have your correct schedule selected. Again, for boys and girls basketball, you have to do one for each. So what I do is I usually print my schedule off the Arbiter. I have that right in front of me on my desk, and I enter in a game. And this is how you do it. You just come down here, you select the contest date, whatever it is. You type in host school, maybe Troy's hosting a Christmas tournament day. And what I will say about this is this does a really good job of autofilling. So if you type in Troy, you're not sure how to spell the school, or maybe it's like Groves and you're not sure if it's Wiley Groves or Groves High School or whatever. But if you just type in Groves, it'll pop up there. You select it. There you go. Whoever the visitor is. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes you might get games that are TBD. You cannot type in TBD. You need to have another team on there. My recommendation is when you eventually do work that game and you know who the visiting team was, you just come in after the fact and you fill it in. But then you'd want, say, maybe Troy is playing at Groves. Don't worry too much. Sometimes the signers, they just mark everybody as the ref in the Arbiter. And you're like, I don't know which one to pick. Should I be U1 or U2 or whatever? It's nothing to, this is not something to stress about. If you know if you're U1 or U2 or ref, select it. If you're not sure, just select ref. It's going to be okay. Here, the desired zone. Most of us are going to be in zone 3. This again affects where we're going to work in the tournaments. And you will want to find a map of the zones in the state of Michigan. But again, Oakland, Macomb, Wayne, Detroit, we're all zone 3 minimally. And you select zone, you can save the zone so you don't have to select it every time you enter in a game. But after you do this, you enter in all this information, you select you're the ref or whatever, you want to submit the contest. Again, don't forget to click submit. And so now you're going to see 12:23, it's right there. Now this was a dummy game. I'm not really working a game at Groves against Troy. And maybe you had a real game, but maybe it got canceled. COVID-19, power out at the school, whatever the reason is, all you need to do is go over here and the contest has been deleted and it's gone. So if you end up working a schedule for a game, you have it entered in your schedule, you end up not working it, just come in here at your next convenience and delete it. Maybe you get to the school and the visiting team changed, but it's still a game that you worked. You just select this little pen and paper button and you can go in here and now you can edit that contest and change it. And whenever you're making changes, whenever you're entering the contest, don't forget to submit the contest. You know it will be successfully submitted when it shows up on your list here. And again, don't forget, if you work both boys and girls, you got to do a schedule for both boys and girls and enter it. So not going to go through all those steps again, but I just want to start off with from the top, mhsaa.com. You come in here. Where do I go? You log in. If you're already logged in, you click My MHSAA, brings up this screen with your selections here at the side, official services. And under official services are all these options where you can take care of your schedule, member in good standing, all that kind of a thing. Anybody have any questions about the mechanics of this? Oh, thank you, Justin. MDAO Mike@gmail.com. If your MIG status is not accurate, MDAO Mike@gmail.com. Mike is monitoring that. Mike Schramm is monitoring that, and he'll coordinate getting things corrected with you. So now, does anybody have any questions about the mechanics of that or otherwise? Okay. Well, everybody, again, I appreciate the help. Again, if you have any questions, Metro Detroit Athletic Officials @gmail.com, MIG status, MDAO Mike@gmail.com. With that said, I'm going to stop recording. For those of you who are watching this on YouTube, thanks for watching it, and good luck the rest of the season. If you do want to know what our, that's not right. If you do want to know what our next date is, you just need to go to athleticofficials.com. I can't type anymore. There we go. You go up here, meeting events and dates, Metro Detroit Athleticofficials.com, meeting and events, and here's our next meeting date, which is, again, as a reminder, it's virtual, January 26th, 6:30 p.m. All right. With that said, have a good one, everybody.
And you'll send the link out for that one, right?
Yes, I will. Yep, I'll send closer to that meeting date. I'll send a reminder, and I'll send the link.
Okay. Again, good job, Shane.
Yep, you bet.